Welcome to Blueprint Viral News. Today, we dive into the latest 338 Canada federal vote and seat projections for March 30th, 2025. With the next election on the horizon, the numbers are shifting. Who's leading? Who's gaining ground? And what does it mean for Canada's political landscape? Let's break it all down. National overview. The latest projections show a strong lead for the Liberal Party, which is currently on track to win 192 seats, comfortably surpassing the majority threshold. Their projected range spans from 166 to 220, indicating a potential landslide victory if they perform at the higher end of expectations. The Conservatives, while holding steady, are projected to win 125 seats with a range of 100 to 149. This suggests that while they remain a formidable opposition, their path to victory is becoming increasingly narrow. Meanwhile, the Bloc Québécois sees a drop to 19 seats, with projections ranging between 10 and 27, a sign that their influence in Quebec may be waning. The New Democratic Party, NDP, struggles with just 6 projected seats, ranging from 0 to 13, signaling potential losses in key battlegrounds. The Green Party holds 1 seat with a slim chance of securing up to 2 seats. Regional breakdown, Atlantic Canada, 32 seats. The Liberals continue their dominance in Atlantic Canada, securing 29 out of 32 seats, with a projected range of 25 to 32. The Conservatives remain a distant second, holding 3 seats, but could climb to 7 depending on local shifts. Quebec, 78 seats. Quebec remains a battleground, but the Liberals are making gains, projected to win 45 seats, ranging from 37 to 54. The Bloc Québécois, which has traditionally held strong in the province, drops to 19 seats, indicating a potential shift in voter sentiment. The Conservatives, aiming to make inroads in Quebec, are projected to secure 13 seats, while the NDP barely holds on with just 1 seat, reflecting their struggles across the country. Ontario, 122 seats. Ontario remains the key to victory, and the Liberals are leading the charge with 81 seats, ranging between 70 and 92. The Conservatives follow at 39 seats, but their range of 29 to 49 suggests that they still have room to grow in key suburban battlegrounds. Meanwhile, the NDP is facing an uphill battle, projected to win just 1 seat with a potential high of 4. The Green Party, while not a major player, could secure up to 2 seats in environmentally conscious ridings. The Prairies, 28 seats. In the Prairies, the Conservatives maintain their dominance with 18 seats, ranging from 16 to 21. The Liberals hold 8 seats, but their ceiling of 10 suggests they could still gain ground. The NDP lags behind, projected at 2 seats, with a maximum of 3. Alberta, 37 seats. Alberta remains Conservative stronghold, with 32 seats projected and a range of 25 to 36. The Liberals, while historically weak in the province, could secure 4 seats, potentially reaching 10 if they gain traction in urban areas like Calgary and Edmonton. The NDP is projected to win 1 seat with a slim chance of picking up 2. British Columbia, 43 seats. British Columbia is shaping up to be a competitive battleground, with the Conservatives leading at 22 seats, followed closely by the Liberals at 20, with both parties having ranges that overlap significantly. CPC, 16 to 29, LPC, 14 to 25. The final outcome will likely come down to voter turnout and strategic voting. The NDP, once a strong contender in BC, is now struggling with just 1 projected seat, while the Greens have a marginal chance of securing a seat as well. Territories, 3 seats. In Canada's 3 federal territories, the Liberals lead with 3 projected seats, though the Conservatives and NDP each have an outside chance of picking up 1 seat. National vote projection. Nationally, the Liberal Party leads with 42% of the popular vote, but with a margin of error of 5%, their actual support could range anywhere between 37% and 47%. The Conservatives follow at 37% with a 4% margin, putting their real support between 33% and 41%. The NDP is projected at 9% with a 2% margin, meaning their actual vote share could be between 7% and 11%. The Bloc Québécois sits at 6% nationally, but since they only run candidates in Quebec, their real impact will be seen at the provincial level. Finally, the Green Party is polling at 3%, but with a 2% range, their actual support could be as low as 1% or as high as 5%. Regional breakdown, Atlantic Canada. In Atlantic Canada, the Liberals hold a strong lead with 56% of the vote with a 7% margin, meaning they could be anywhere from 49% to 63%. The Conservatives trail at 31% with a 6% range, meaning they could be as low as 25% or as high as 37%. The NDP sits at 7% with a 3% range, meaning their actual vote share could be between 4% and 10%. And the Greens hold 3% within a 2% margin, meaning their support ranges between 1% and 5%. Quebec remains competitive. The Liberals lead at 40%, but with a 6% margin, their actual support could range from 34% to 46%. The Bloc Québécois follows at 25% with a 4% range, meaning their real support could be anywhere from 21% to 29%. The Conservatives are close behind at 23% with a 4% margin, meaning their vote share could be between 19% and 27%. The NDP is at 6% with a 2% margin, making their actual range 4% to 8%. And the Greens sit at 3% within a 2% range, meaning they could be as low as 1% or as high as 5%. Ontario remains a critical battleground. The Liberals hold a strong lead with 47%, but with a 6% range, they could be anywhere between 41% and 53%. The Conservatives follow at 39% with a 6% margin, meaning they could be polling between 33% and 45%. The NDP is down to 8% with a 3% range, meaning their actual support is between 5% and 11%. And the Greens sit at 4% within a 2% range, meaning their support could be anywhere between 2% and 6%. The Prairies. In the Prairie provinces, the Conservatives dominate with 49%. But with a 6% margin, their actual vote share could be between 43% and 55%. The Liberals follow at 33% with a 5% range, putting their real support between 28% and 38%. The NDP holds 12% with a 4% margin, meaning they could be anywhere between 8% and 16%. Alberta remains Conservative territory, with the CPC leading at 56%, but with a 6% margin, their vote share could range from 50% to 62%. The Liberals are at 28% with a 5% range, meaning they could be anywhere between 23% and 33%. The NDP holds 10% with a 3% margin, meaning they could be between 7% and 13%. British Columbia is turning into a tight race. The Liberals hold 40%, but with a 6% range, their actual support could be anywhere from 34% to 46%. The Conservatives are right behind at 39%, also with a 6% margin, meaning their support could be between 33% and 45%. The NDP sits at 14% with a 4% range, meaning their support could be between 10% and 18%. And the Greens hold 5% with a 3% margin, making their actual range 2% to 8%. In the territories, the Liberals lead with 45%, but with a 9% margin, their actual vote share could be anywhere from 36% to 54%. The Conservatives follow at 29% with an 8% margin, meaning they could be between 21% and 37%. The NDP holds 19% with a 6% range, meaning their real support could be anywhere from 13% to 25%. And the Greens sit at 5%, but with a 4% margin, meaning their actual vote share could be anywhere from 1% to 9%.